Okay, well into Kansas City in preparation for the week. Obviously, a very good football team, very talented team, very well coached team. Looking forward to being back in Lucas Oil in front of our home crowd. So we'll open it up from there.
Frank, what's been your evaluation of the offensive line as a unit so far, and just how much are they winning up front?
Yeah, thought in week one, I thought the offensive line played well. There were a couple issues, but if you look at the whole 90 plays, I'd say it was a good game by the offensive line. Obviously in the last game, it wasn't good up front, but it wasn't good anywhere, on offense. So I think that's more of a collective thing. I think our mode is, each one of us, what the discussion has been, hey, we got to keep doing what we're doing. We're 2 weeks into it. We believe in what we're doing. We believe in who we're doing it with. So we each got to look within, find ways to get better. That collective effort to do that, you find in this league, this is what we experience, this is what we believe, this is what we will stay on, that we will get better and turn things around.
Ryan Kelly said, just to follow, Ryan Kelly said that, we haven't been playing 5 as one, whatever that means to you, I don't know, but is that is that start practice, is that communication, I don't know.
I'm not sure what, sometimes I think when I've heard guys say like that, something to that effect, I think it's like I mentioned the other day where it's just one breakdown here or one breakdown there. And, right, that's the great thing about this game. You're only as strong as your weakest link, and it's what makes it such a great game. And we know that. And that's especially true up front for the offensive line. And they know that, and they love that. So that's why those guys get so close. That's why that chemistry is important. We'll keep going down that road.
Frank, is it fair to say until the offensive line gets things going, and it's tough for the quarterback, it's tough for the running back, that it's got to start on the front?
Yeah, I mean, the philosophy that Chris and I have talked about it, it starts up front, on both sides of the ball. I mean, yeah, we believe that. I mean, we believe that. We're not backing away from that at all. I mean, you got to have the whole package. You got to be able to do everything, but it starts up front. You got to be able to protect the quarterback. You got to be able to run the ball at some level. And then same thing on the other side of the ball. You got to be able to stop the run with your guys up front. You got to be able to put pressure on the passer with 4 guys, with a 4-man rush.
When you come off a loss like this, is it hard for you as a head coach to put your finger on what happened? Because there's so many things. Or is it schematic or is it not?
I think it's hard. I think it's hard not to overreact. Right? That's what we all want to do. So, we look at, okay, you can look at a really bad loss like this, and you have to say, you have to resist the temptation to overreact, to make overall changes. Every great coach I've been around as a player and as an assistant coach, I just hear the same thing ringing in my ear, what I said the other day. It's not about making things more complex. It's not about overhaul changes. You got to do what you do. We just all have to do it better. It sounds like a broken record. It is a broken record, but that's because it's what's true. It's not just true for what's on our team. I believe every head coach in the league would tell you the same thing. We got to execute. We got to, have the best schemes, try to put the players in the best positions, and then we got to execute it and produce it, and we got to make plays in all 3 phases.
Frank, 2 questions. One is, were you more emotional than after the game? Because you're the one that said evaluate 9 times and scheme 3 times. But then the next day, we don't.
Oh, no.
I don't understand.
No, yeah, fair. I mean, no, make no mistake. Yeah, I misstated it maybe in a way that, or emphasized in a way. Everything I was always evaluated, but that's just normal. That's just normal. We're always going to evaluate. So that's the business we live in. When you're playing at the, at the highest competitive level of the sport or in any other business, there's very little room for error. Everything's under the microscope. We welcome that. Players, coaches, we welcome that. You go home. This is fun, even when it's hard. Even when the criticism gets the hardest. That's when you dig. That's our experiences as player and coaches. I believe, like most people, maybe some people wouldn't want to put this out. We love that, right? Because why? Because it makes us better. Sometimes the criticism, sometimes facing what you didn't do or how you didn't get it done. If you have the right resolve, if you have the right stuff inside, if you have the right collective team, you learn to overcome those things. So everything always gets evaluated. We're always looking at ways to adapt, improve. But those, I think, Greg, I would say are incremental, more incremental than they are overall changes.
And what responsibility does Ryan have to elevate? He's got the ball in his hands, he's not elevating anything.
You know, I mean, I look at certainly, right, we're going to be measured by game, play by play, most certainly at the quarterback position, at the head coaching position, the whole deal. So couldn't be more excited that Matt is our quarterback. It's a collective effort. In the 2 games we've had, he's done some good things. We all have to get better. He'll be the one to lead us to where we need to go. I'm confident of that.
You said the gap in between where you were after the Jacksonville loss and where you want to be isn't that big. Why do you feel that way, and how do you close that gap that really felt like an ocean after that
Yeah,
game?
agree. On the outside, it does feel like an ocean. There's no question about that. But experience tells me what I said is true. Does it always happen right away, right when you want it to? Hey, we're not that far, and then all of a sudden, boom! Oh, this is the week. We're going to catch on fire. And then, I don't know. We're going to find out. I mean, we're going to find out. We're playing a good football team. I hope this is the week. But I've just seen it too many times. I've experienced it personally. I've been on teams. I've watched other teams. Watch other sports. It happens all the time. This is just the experience. It's not that big of a gap. Secondly, what makes me feel that is just the belief in our guys. It's just the belief in our guys that when things don't go right, we should be questioned. We should be criticized. And there should be, what's happening. But inside, it's different. Inside, it's different. And it should be different inside. So everybody's doing their job. Everybody's doing their job. And it's going the way it normally would go as far as all the dynamics. We just got to play better football. We got to coach better. We got to play better, and things will take care of themselves.
I know you've experienced that kind of turnaround a lot, but you have a lot of players who are young or just haven't had that same experience. So what is the challenge of getting them to believe that same thing?
Yeah, the younger players who maybe haven't experienced it on the NFL level, maybe as much as some of us who are older, played and coached, have had big comebacks, come back from 1-5, 0-3 last year, and work back into it a little bit, and a lot of other things. A lot of these guys, even these young guys, they've overcome a lot in their life. Right? We know all the personal stories. Most of these guys have gotten here because they know how to overcome. That's how they've made this team. That's how they got in this building. They have that fabric. Sure, do they need more experience at this level to let that dig deeper? Absolutely, and that's part of the process.
Frank, as head coach, where's the balance in wanting to stay consistent with your message and then realizing the results have not been there lately and maybe that message isn't necessarily resonating with the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, it's a long season. And like I said, how long is too long? How long when you determine when something's not resonating or something's not connecting? I don't know, was 1-5 long enough or was 0-3? I know you can't change who you are. That's what I know. As a player, coach, everything I've witnessed is the message is built on timeless principles. So, we're not going to change, what are timeless principles. I mean, are you always creatively, what coaches do is look for different ways to say the same thing. We're all basically saying the same thing. You pick your themes, you pick your style on how you're going to communicate those. You adapt and adjust. But the messaging, it's not about the hype. If there's one thing I've learned, it's not about locker room speeches. It's not about Saturday night before the game. How fired up can we get it? Because if it was about fired up speeches, we would have won going away last week with the meeting we had Saturday night, to be honest with you, and how that whole thing went. It's not about that. And not only Saturday, but I could give you a zillion other examples. The messaging, we're always going to build the messaging on timeless principles that have been proven, tested by the greatest coaches, by the greatest players, and this is what we're going to stick to. It's what we know.
A couple more.
JT was saying that, in the locker room, it almost doesn't matter if you practiced well, if you had a good meeting, whatever. You have to do it on game day. Why didn't you?
Yeah. So great question, and I was having a conversation with one of the other coaches about this, and you can go a week. This is my opinion. that you can go a day, you can have a bad practice. You can maybe have 2 bad practices. But to use a financial financial markets illustration, it's more about the moving average of the quality of your practice. So what we think here is that the 10-day moving average or the 20-day moving average or the 50-day moving average is, you need that to be trending in the right direction. And then the results come. Sometimes they lag behind a little bit, and you don't always get it right when you want it. We've had some changes. We've undergone changes this year. I think our process is right. Our people are right. So the moving average is good. You can have a bad day every now and then. Everybody does. Every team has a bad practice. But it's more about the collective moving average of those practice habits.
Frank, give an update
Last one here.
with Pittman, and has Pierce cleared protocol?
Pierce has not cleared protocol, but is trending in the right, he's, I think, got one more step, and it looks good. They're both trending in the right direction. After last week, I'm hesitant to say, anything, because I thought they both were going to play last week, but they're trending in the right direction. They'll be out there today, and I'm optimistic and hopeful that everything will be okay.
Practicing.
He'll be out there today, yep.